All right, we're recording here. Just finished doing a couple laps to kind of warm up and get comfortable with the track again. Thank you for watching these guides. I really do appreciate it. They've been fairly successful considering how small my channel is. There's been some people who have had success with my setups, so that's always awesome to hear in the Discord and on my in my comments. But we're gonna get right into it here with the track walk. Turn 1 is just this kink down the front stretch. It's a pretty straightforward kind of deal. You'll obviously, like most kinks, want to get to the inside. It's going to be flat foot. You are cresting the hill, but I wouldn't worry about really anything here. Obviously, traffic, you want to steer clear of traffic. If you hear there's a wreck up ahead, it's likely not going to be right over the hill crest, but always be mindful. But as you crest the hill, you'll want to start to track the car back to the right of the track to prepare for turn 2 or the Andretti hairpin. You'll want to start braking just a little bit past the 4, but you're allowed to really get on this line here. I like to try to keep my left sides on the asphalt, right sides on the concrete, and kind of just straddle the middle. And you'll brake from 5th to 4th down to 3rd here. You can kind of start aiming in. This is really a double apex turn. I would consider it 2 turns. But yeah, you're going to come down here. You're going to be 3rd gear. You're going to try to hit the apex here. Keep off the throttle. Just dance on the brake a little bit to get it to rotate back around here. Get to the 2nd apex and then drive off. You are going to want to get back to the left as fast as possible. This turn is a turn I've always struggled with, and you'll see in my hot lap, I'm sure I'll struggle with it again. I tried really hard to focus on the setup as far as having it drivable with your pedals. What I mean by that is like riding the brake on entry as you turn in. More brake is going to rotate the car more, less brake is going to rotate the car less. So for a lot of these corners, especially here, like turns 3, 4, 5 coming up, you'll really dance that brake pedal to the apex and then use the throttle to drive it off the corner. Depending on how loaded up the car is, it is going to be a little free on throttle, but you're going to do a lot of your work with the brake pedal. Now for this corner, typically between 1 and 2, I like to start to ride the brake a little bit. Use that to drive down to the apex. The tricky part in my mind for this corner is you got to go from the Andretti hairpin, get back to the left side of the track, and then you want the weight of the car to be semi-settled. If you drift too wide in the hairpin, you're still turning back to the left, then immediately have to turn right. So the weight of that car is kind of sloshing around, and that's why I struggle on this corner. For me, I'd rather be a little slower in this corner and not mess up the lap than try to go for outright speed. But in these corners, once you're on track to make the corner, again, ride the brake. A little bit of trail braking will get the car to rotate. And you want to pretty much get right to the edge of this red sausage curb, run right along the blue and white curb, and then throttle up out, using up as much of the track as you can. For whatever reason, turn 4 here is a lot easier for me to manage. Run on the curbs closer to the 1 than the 2. Ride a little bit of brake. Get down to the apex. Right along the red sausage curb. Same thing. Track it out wide. For me, I struggle a lot in turn 3, and if I mess up turn 3, turn 4 becomes a lot easier because I'm already a little off pace out of 3. So as you hit 3 better, just be mindful of hitting 4. Obviously the better you take 3, the faster you're going into 4. Turn 5 is pretty straightforward as well. I like to brake pretty much same spot. Actually, I'd have to go back and watch myself, but I believe it's right around the 2. Brake all the way down pretty much until you see the curbing cut away. That's usually where I personally like to turn in. And again, just kind of dance on the brake. For this one, I like to get down here in 4th gear and then grab 3rd at the last second. Like as I hit the apex, grab 3rd gear, drive it up and off out of the hole. Turn 2, the Andretti hairpin, that's a third gear turn. Third gear for turn 3. You take turn 4 in fourth gear. And then I like to say go from fourth to third in turn 5. You'll run up the hill here, stick to the right of the track, use up a lot of the curb. Just a little bit past the 2, you'll ride a little bit of brake. Turn in. Again, don't hit the red curb. The nice thing about turns 4, 5, and 6 here is the weight of the car should be balanced, so it's really kind of one arc in. 3, you have to get the car from the right side of the track to the left side of the track, and then turn right, so there's some weight transfer funkiness there. You don't have to deal with that for 4, 5, and 6, so they're pretty good turns to practice, especially with active reset if you're struggling with one. But again, get to the apex, don't hit the red curb. You're going to kind of land in a hole here and drive yourself off. I am positive there's going to be dirt all over the track here. Not quite sure how that's going to affect grip in the race, but just be mindful, watch out for the red and yellow flags. You're going to get a lot of people go wide here, carry gravel onto the track. You don't want to be cut out by that. Now, the fun part of this track, the corkscrew. I like to try to get back across the track and kind of run along this rumble strip and really take a straight shot here as you crest the hill. You'll run the rumble strips on the left, get to the rumble strips on the right. I like to start to brake before this hill because you do have a crest here. You're gonna want to release brake pressure over that crest, and from there I'm pretty much going from 5th to 4th to 3rd. Typically I release brake pressure, crest the hill, apply more brake pressure, get down to 3rd, and if you do it right, you're going to want to be turning in over this apex just like you would any other corner, and don't worry about the hill and the drop off. If you get it right, I don't ever think about the corkscrew being the corkscrew. Now, when there's cars and you're battling, it can be a little daunting, but if you're just running hot laps or running by yourself, try not to overthink it. If you start overthinking it in those situations, you're really going to struggle around other cars. I try to really treat this just like another corner, especially on the first half of it. For the second half of it, what I like to do is I like to pretty much, obviously you're going to stay in 3rd gear, a lower RPM, but you definitely want to stay away from 2nd gear. But you're going to see these 2 trees up ahead. Well, 2 or 3. You got the 2 to the left and then the 1 a little more to the right. Once I start to kind of face these trees, like I'm looking at them right, like I'm at right here, is when I like to get the wheel turned back to the right and go over this curb. Again, there's going to be a lot of gravel here. I think it's going to stay a 3rd gear turn. But once you hit the entry right, the trick is just know when to stop turning to the left and get that weight back to the right. And for me, it's when you're facing those trees. Coming off here, this set of corners kind of perplexes me. I'm not a big fan of this track. What I personally like to do is I don't like to try to go back to go out wide here. Again, because I feel like you have to do a lot with the car. I think depending on the downforce level of the car, you might get away with it. Something like the M2, I like to kind of just stick middle of the track and then turn myself down. Now you're going to have this, for lack of a term, dirty asphalt here. Looks like somebody spilled some coffee on the photos iRacing took when they did the art here. You really want to kind of get down back across that and get to the curb. Again, this is going to be, I believe, 3rd to 4th gear. I'll have to do my hot lap to remember for sure. But something about that turn just, I don't want to say it's tricky. I think there's more speed than I know how to get out of it. But I feel like what I like to do is consistent. Again, what turn numbers are these? 10 and 11. It's pretty straightforward. Get all the way to the left to make sure the car's weight's balanced. You're going to kind of drag a little brake into the hole. You're going to get down to the apex, then hammer down, drive off. Final corner here, there's a couple different ways you can take it. This is the only time you're going to use 2nd gear in this car, especially on when you're like up to speed. I like to brake again just before the 1 marker or between the 2 and the 1. And I like to kind of aim myself down. If you want to really fight it, you can actually drive over the red curb and kind of split that with the car. You're going to get a 1X. It is a little bit quicker, so that's kind of up to you to make that decision. But I like to just get down as tight as I can. I'm not scared of hitting the red curb there. Get it rotated, and then just immediately drive off. Try to get as much power down without snapping the car free. But with that, that's kind of a quick walk around the lap. I'm gonna do a lap or two to get up to speed here. I do struggle at this track. I feel very happy and confident with the setup I've built for this week. A driver much better than me said he felt my setup was on par with the VRS setup, and that the VRS setup would be a little more challenging for those below 3K iRating. I myself right around 2,000, 2,100, I believe right now. And I feel like my pace has been a lot higher than that this season in this car. I just do one race a week though, so I'm not seeing big shifts. But I really try to focus on something that was very drivable for me. I felt like I could do a lot of driving with the pedals. Less work with the steering wheel, more with my feet. As I drag the brake, the car wants to rotate good in. I could drive off very well. Sometimes I might get a little bit of over rotation on exit, but I rather just back my foot off a little bit. Like right there, it's just a little free on the exit. I could just back off the throttle a little bit and make it work. But yeah, right here, braking just before the hill, release some pressure. Down to third, I see my trees. I turn back across. I feel like I got the corkscrew figured out. Across the coffee stain to the apex. Drive on out. That should stay fourth gear. And then get back across number 2. Down to second. I might have carried a little too much speed on entry. But yeah, let me shut up here and focus on driving for a lap or two and see what I could actually accomplish lap time wise. Carried a little too much speed in there. So I really think lap 3, 4, 5, once the tires are up to temperature, is where you're going to see most of your speed. I feel like I had to go a little different on my theory with the setup this week, but it is working. I gotta figure out how to work that into the setup script at the end of the season, but I feel very happy with all that. It's just this is a track I don't vibe with, which is funny because I really vibe with the Roval, just not the Roval in this car. This car and this track, I feel like I'm liking it a little more, but I think it's because of the setup and the way the car's rotating for me. But I'll be curious to see how my paces come race day. One thing that's really helpful too is cloud cover. Keep an eye on the track temps. I've been in this lobby for a decent amount of time. It looks like it's bounced between high 60s, low to mid 70s. Obviously, the cooler the track, the more aggressive you can be. It's not like unlimited grip. You have to be mindful and really got to focus for that corner. I really hate that corner. It's not like unlimited grip when the cloud cover comes out, but I think you could just pick it up a little bit, a little more comfortably. I try not to put myself in bad spots or drive over my head personally. There are times where you get into a rhythm and you kind of stop thinking about what you're doing and you just do it. I think it's easier to do that when the track's a little cooler. Track temp on iRacing is very important thing to manage and watch. Again, for the corkscrew, I really feel like I got that corkscrew figured out. Definitely one worth using active reset to get yourself comfortable. I don't know how it's going to race being multi-class. I think if you're following cars up the hill, be patient. Finishing the race is the best way to win the race, or the only way to win the race. And honestly, finishing second or third is better than wrecking, going for the lead. Little too much speed in there, I felt like. If I can recover a little bit on exit. Car gets a little free there on throttle, but it's manageable. Like this corner really reflects. I got back to the throttle a little too soon there, but still good rotation under trail braking, which I really like. I feel like if I could hit that turn a little better, I wouldn't need to downshift to third, but I know my limitations and I drive within them. Mess that up there, downshifting. Alright, let's try one more hot lap and see what we can do. Sun's coming out. Let's see. I'm trying just a little too hard through there. Through there too, man. That's a bummer. Okay, we still got half a lap to recover. Gotta get out of the habit of downshifting there. Try one more after this, maybe. Ooh. A little too aggressive on throttle. Okay, that lap's not as good. The lap before it was better, but let's try again. Okay, I left it in fourth through there. That actually felt a little bit better.
You have about 5 laps of fuel left.
Well, I had a decent lap in there somewhere. I struggle here. I feel like hopefully I could get you a little bit closer. And if Ooh, I'm just gonna drive in way too deep here. Let's get out of the car. I do struggle here. I'll admit that. I do feel very happy with the setup. You can find that in the Discord. I'm pretty much not going to make any changes from what I posted on Friday. I've tried a couple little things. It wasn't getting any better. But I feel like the car gets a lot of good rotation under trail braking. You still get a little bit of rotation on throttle off the corner. It is a fine line and a tight dance. I do struggle here, so my lap time for the hot lap's probably not the greatest out there. There's a lot of good hot laps with this car and track combo on YouTube. But if you're struggling to hit that, hopefully I maybe get a good initial benchmark and you could push past that. Let's get out here. What was my fastest lap this week? Boom, boom, boom. Splits. Overall, my optimal was a 31.9. My best lap was a 32.3, which wasn't this session. This session, 32.4 was my optimal with a 32.8. Same setup between those. I just couldn't find a rhythm. I've running out of time to get this video out again. I do apologize for that, but I feel the car is good. The setup's good. It's me that's the problem. But hopefully this does help you a little bit. And again, like I said, if you're struggling, there's other assets besides me. I just hopefully could be an initial benchmark to get you guys going good. But with that, thank you for watching. Good luck in your races. Feel free to hop into the Discord. Let me know how things have been going for you, and have a great week of racing.